The age of electricity and Canada's energy advantage. Why Canadians sometimes pay global prices for their own energy. For more than a century, Canada has been known as one of the most resource rich countries in the world. Canada has enormous reserves of oil, natural gas, uranium, hydroelectric power, forests, and critical minerals. When people hear this, they naturally ask a simple question. If Canada has so much energy, why do Canadians sometimes pay prices similar to international markets instead of extremely cheap domestic prices? To understand this question, we must step back and look at how modern energy systems actually work. The global energy system is not simply about what a country produces. It is about infrastructure, transportation, market design, investment costs, environmental policies, and international trade relationships. Energy today flows through a complex network of pipelines, electricity grids, shipping routes, refineries, and financial markets. At the same time, the world is entering a new era that many experts call the age of electricity or the clean electricity revolution. This transformation is reshaping energy markets everywhere, including Canada. In this video, we will examine four major ideas. First, we will understand the global shift toward electricity and clean energy. Second, we will examine Canada's extraordinary energy resources. Third, we will explain why domestic prices often follow international markets. And finally, we will explore the opportunity Canada has to become a global clean energy superpower. Let us begin with the global transformation. For most of the 20th century, the global economy was powered mainly by fossil fuels. Oil, coal, and natural gas drove transportation, industry, and electricity generation. However, the 21st century is witnessing a massive structural shift. Around the world, governments and industries are investing heavily in electricity based technologies. Solar power, wind power, nuclear energy, electric vehicles, heat pumps, and large scale battery storage are expanding rapidly. Today, nearly two-thirds of all global energy investment is flowing into clean electricity technologies rather than traditional fossil fuels. Solar energy has become the fastest growing electricity source in history. Global solar installations increased dramatically during the early 2020 SPAs as the cost of solar panels dropped by more than 80% compared to a decade earlier. Battery technology has also improved rapidly. Large grid-scale batteries are now able to store electricity and release it when demand increases. Electric vehicles are moving from niche markets into mainstream adoption across Europe, China, and North America. In earlier years, the energy transition was mainly presented as a climate policy designed to reduce carbon emissions. Today, the conversation has changed. Energy security, price stability, and industrial competitiveness are now the primary drivers of the electricity revolution. Countries want to ensure that their industries have reliable and affordable power supplies. They also want to control the technologies and materials needed for the new energy economy. This is where Canada's natural advantages become extremely important. Canada is one of the few countries in the world that already possesses a largely clean electricity grid. Approximately 60% of Canada's electricity already comes from hydroelectric power. Hydroelectric dams built across Quebec, British Columbia, Manitoba, and Newfoundland generate massive quantities of renewable electricity. Another significant portion comes from nuclear energy, particularly in Ontario, where large nuclear reactors provide stable baseload power. Wind and solar energy are expanding rapidly as well. Because of this existing clean grid, Canada is starting the energy transition from a position of strength, but electricity is only part of Canada's energy story. Canada also holds some of the world's largest reserves of oil and natural gas. The oil sands of Alberta represent one of the largest petroleum deposits on Earth. Canadian natural gas production is also enormous, especially in Alberta and British Columbia. Canada is the second largest uranium producer in the world. Uranium mines in Saskatchewan supply nuclear fuel to many countries, including the United States, Europe, and Asia. In addition, Canada possesses vast reserves of critical minerals such as nickel, cobalt, lithium, and rare earth elements. These minerals are essential for manufacturing electric vehicle batteries, wind turbines, and advanced electronics. This combination of clean electricity, fossil fuels, nuclear fuel, and critical minerals gives Canada an extraordinary strategic advantage in the emerging energy system. Yet Canadians often ask why domestic prices are not dramatically cheaper. The answer lies in the structure of energy markets. Energy production requires enormous capital investment. Building oil sands facilities, pipelines, liquefied natural gas terminals, nuclear reactors, hydroelectric dams, and transmission networks cost billions of dollars. Investors who finance these projects expect returns based on global market prices. If Canadian producers were forced to sell energy far below international prices, investment would decline dramatically and production could fall. Another factor is infrastructure geography. Canada is a vast country with large distances between production regions and population centers. For example, much of Canada's oil is produced in Alberta, while many refineries are located in eastern provinces. Transportation through pipelines or rail networks adds cost. Electricity systems also have regional limitations. Provinces manage their own electricity grids, and these grids are not always fully connected with each other. As a result, electricity produced in one region cannot always be easily transported to another region. Market integration with the United States also plays an important role. Canada and the United States operate one of the most integrated energy systems in the world. Electricity grids, oil pipelines, and natural gas pipelines cross the border in many places. Canadian hydroelectric power often flows south into American states. At the same time, Canada imports refined petroleum products and specialized equipment from the United States. Because of this integration, many energy prices follow North American market benchmarks rather than purely domestic calculations. However, the global shift toward clean electricity may gradually change this picture. Electric technologies are far more efficient than fossil fuel systems. Electric vehicles convert a much larger portion of energy into motion compared to gasoline engines. Heat pumps can deliver several units of heat for every unit of electricity consumed. These efficiency gains mean that households can reduce overall energy spending even if electricity prices increase moderately. Studies suggest that by 2050, the average Canadian household could spend around 12% less on total energy costs as electric technologies replace older fossil systems. The clean energy transition also presents enormous economic opportunities. The Canadian clean energy sector is expected to grow rapidly in the coming decades. Employment in renewable energy, battery manufacturing, critical mineral mining, and advanced energy technologies could reach hundreds of thousands of jobs. Annual investments in clean energy infrastructure may reach tens of billions of dollars. This transformation could increase Canada's economic output significantly while strengthening energy security. Clean electricity also brings important health benefits. Reducing fossil fuel combustion decreases air pollution. Lower pollution levels reduce respiratory illnesses and other health problems. These health improvements can translate into billions of dollars in avoided healthcare costs. Another important aspect of Canada's energy future involves Indigenous partnerships. Many renewable energy projects are being developed in cooperation with Indigenous communities. These partnerships provide economic opportunities and support energy sovereignty for Indigenous nations. All of these factors suggest that Canada has the potential to become what some analysts call a clean electricity superpower. A country with abundant renewable power, strong nuclear technology, critical minerals, and advanced energy infrastructure could play a major role in the global energy system. The key challenge will be building the necessary infrastructure. Canada will need expanded electricity transmission networks connecting provinces. New investments in energy storage technologies will help manage fluctuating renewable generation. Additional nuclear technologies such as small modular reactors may provide reliable power for remote regions and industrial facilities. Export infrastructure will also be important. Liquefied natural gas terminals, hydrogen production facilities, and electricity interconnections could allow Canada to supply clean energy to international markets. The global demand for reliable and clean energy is growing rapidly. Countries across Europe and Asia are seeking stable suppliers. Canada's political stability, strong institutions, and abundant resources make it an attractive partner. At the same time, maintaining strong cooperation with the United States remains extremely important. The Canada United States energy relationship has been mutually beneficial for decades. Integrated grids and pipelines increase reliability and reduce costs for both countries. Constructive cooperation between the two nations will remain a key pillar of North American energy security. In conclusion, the question of why Canadians sometimes pay global prices for energy is linked to complex market systems, infrastructure costs, and international trade integration. However, the emerging age of electricity is creating new opportunities. Canada's vast hydroelectric resources, nuclear expertise, natural gas reserves, and critical minerals position the country extremely well for the coming decades. With thoughtful investment, infrastructure development, and international partnerships, Canada can strengthen its economy while contributing to global energy stability. The energy transition is not only about environmental goals, it is about economic strategy, technological leadership, and national resilience. Canada has the resources, knowledge, and institutions needed to thrive in this new era. The question now is how effectively those advantages will be used in the years ahead.